Alright guys, welcome back to another week of trading. And dudes, this week was hella brutal. It's been a bit since the trades have been this bad, and I really struggled to take some clean trades. And honestly, I've been getting swamped with a lot of things outside of trading as well, so I've really just been getting cooked. So yeah, let's just see how this week went. Alright, so we're back with a new week, and I'm mainly focusing on the usual, just being patient and waiting to see how price develops and taking the setup that depends on how well price does to those things. And looking at the charts, price does seem to be maintaining some pretty clean bullish power right now. In terms of the high time frame, we are retesting into this new week opening gap, which does align with the retest that we're having currently. We did just form a new hourly imbalance below to continue with that bullish power, and we had some pretty good draws on liquidity to the sell side with low resistance liquidity being lined up, so I was keeping in mind some potential for a short since the initial power felt pretty weak for the longs. And seeing the shift higher during pre-market though did make me respect the buys a lot more, so right now the plan was just to wait and see how price keeps developing. And coming into the session, we still hadn't retested the bullish imbalances we made before, and since that was the case, as well as the 5-minute creating a sort of wick sweep of the high, I was thinking that there could be a quick push lower to retest these levels. I was a bit put off though since it was still early, and to be honest, my read on price isn't as set yet, so I ended up just scrapping this idea. But still, I couldn't really help but shake the thought that we were too overextended to the buy side, so we were just still waiting. And market open really didn't do too much with us getting a wick higher and some pushes lower to tap the discount range of the 15-minute. And that was aligning really well with my sell idea when suddenly price got some buying volume coming in, which respected the 5-minute imbalance. And since that was the case, and this came along with 1-minute displacement and an inverse, I did decide to take a albeit more impulsive long up to the previous day highs, and this is where I messed up hard. That idea that I had before of the short wasn't off, it was just taking its time to play out, and price immediately just started retesting lower into the imbalances below, which wasn't the cleanest, and the trade however got some fat sell-off and ran down hard, which took me off a bit more volatility than I expected. Alright, so this trade was... I was too hasty to get into the setup, and I did get caught up in the buy volume in that moment, which is why I did take a more impulsive move higher, which obviously was my downfall. But had I just stopped and thought about it, I still knew we were overextended to the buy side. Yeah, I still took the setup, so honestly today should have been more of a no trade day, as the liquidities to me were not that clear, which is something more crucial to the way I see markets, so it was my mistake for forcing something in the first place. But yeah, that ends off a pretty hard start to the week. Alrighty boys, so it's just a quick little reflection on Tuesday, because Tuesday we had Fed Chairman Designate, so that's something that I've never seen before. That's why I decided not to really take a trade. Like just looking at price action today, it looked like we were just getting some retesting action again from the period that I would trade, which is around the first like 3 candles of the 15 minutes. So yeah, it was just a retest into this 15-minute gap over here. I'll just mark that out. Alright, yeah, so just pretty much the entire session was just moving towards retesting this level, and even though we did shift lower past this Asia low, but we would expect at least a retrace into the discount range here, which we did get pretty quickly. And high time frame, we had, let's see, immediate, we had the 1 hour, and then we also, at the time, this was a wick sweep, as well as 4 hour, we had a 4 hour order block with also a wick tap into it, but we did have a wick sweep of a high time frame high, so that was the only confliction there. Yeah, overall I think us taking out the London Asia lows, I would want to see the reaction of that, and I mean this would have looked really bearish to me, and maybe see like look for a retrace here, see how well the retrace forms, and then waiting past that because I need to see a confirmation bearish candle going down. We ended up not getting that, and we ended up inversing at around 55. Around this point it would have been a bit too late for me to trade, so this would have been another day where it was like a no trade, because yeah, it was just push lower and then fake out into a push higher, so nothing real too clean for me to take over here. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that I avoided trading today. It's just better mental. Alright, I'm not gonna lie guys, today sucked really bad. Alright, looking at the charts, we do seem to be a bit bullish in terms of the trend as we are just continuing to push higher. And we do have some supporting levels holding price up right now, though price is currently getting a pretty strong pullback into these supporting levels. So perhaps we could just plummet lower, though that would require just breaking through in the first place. We were in a bit of a chop, so I do want to see how price breaks out from here. And price did end up forming pretty decently with us getting a push higher towards the highs, and the buys weren't the cleanest trade in my opinion, as the main move I was looking for was still the sell off towards these draws down here. And honestly, price was starting to align with that idea as we were just slowing down, just cutting out a lot of that buying pressure from before. But we did end up forming higher at the start of market open, meaning that we were still likely to continue pushing higher. And after a lot of stalling, we finally got that move higher, which is where I did decide to take my trade. And this trade started off real slow, and I was like, yeah, it's alright, like it's pretty chill. It's got everything it needs to back it up, so I'm pretty confident in the trade. Okay, well, that really sucked. Bro. What was price action today? Like, to be fair, yes, I could have avoided my initial entry since volume wasn't really there. I was still pretty confident in the trade because there were so many other like factors backing it up, but I think the lack of volume was the main thing that led to me losing. And of course, volume was the crucial thing that I was missing, as the low volume was showing that we weren't ready to continue higher just yet. But yeah, it's a really brutal day because no way it just sweeps me out before coming up to hit my target. It's alright though, I'll just come back better tomorrow. Boys, so I just finished reviewing how Thursday's trade went because I ended up not hopping on Thursday because of some of the news. I'm not that great on unemployment and Flash. I don't have too much data on it, but yeah, I also had work early in the morning, so I was like, yeah, I figure I'll just avoid this and just get some rest instead. What ended up happening was that we ended up coming back. Price ended up pulling back into these higher time frame, you could say, imbalances, like this gap over here and this block, and these would be strong supporting levels for price to continue pushing higher from. And the 15-minute, or yeah, 15 minutes like a nice middle ground for the time frame, so I use 15-minute. But yeah, we saw a retest which, like, this block here overlapped with the two high time frame ones, so honestly this would have been like the main thing I was looking at. And then this 15-minute high low from the shift higher was pretty strong. It's pretty much an Asia high continuation. We pulled back into these, and this is like where there was quite a bit of chop. You can see that we formed an SMT, which is pretty much a divergence between like the two correlated pairs. So the correlated pair for NQ is ES, and what ended up happening was that we took out this low on NQ, but on ES we ended up just not taking it out because the low was like here. So because of that, ES was showing us that we're going to continue pushing higher, and because of that I can most likely expect, because we're also aligning with other confluences, that we can continue higher. And then on the 1 minute, because we ended up forming that 5-minute wick as well as the SMP, so that would have given me quite a bit of confidence to enter. But waiting past 36, so this is where the next candle formed, and that also formed a shift on the 1 minute. So perhaps I could have entered off of just purely the shift because of the SMT forming, and then targeted, I don't know, 1-to-1. I would have missed it. Just barely. I would have been so sad. I'm not gonna lie. Holy that. Okay, I guess it's good that I avoided it, but okay. Yeah, protected SMT would be the ideal stop loss here. This is like the best place to put it, because it's like if it pushes lower to here, then, you know, then at that point it wouldn't be realistic to stay in this trade. But then if I place my stop like here or here, then I would have hit my TP, but then it's also like, that's not good practice to keep my stop in a place where price could easily retest into, which we did here. And then you can see we didn't even sweep out this low over here for the whole time. So yeah, would have been a really sad break even again. So yeah, it's a good thing that I avoided it. It was a pretty much complete A+ setup. We had all the requirements that we needed for it. Even had like, there wasn't like strong volume coming in at the time, at least on the 1 minute. Like, we got that 1 minute displacement higher, but other than that, like, there isn't like strong bodies pushing higher. But the reason why I'd be confident taking it is because of the wick forming on the 5 minute, because if we see here, the wick is actually pretty strong, and there's also a wick sweep SMT. So obviously that gives me a lot more confidence to take the trade. But yeah, that's pretty much my analysis for today. It's pretty solid. Probably in the future, if I don't have work the next day, I could probably consider taking or hopping on the charts to see how price forms. Alright, so coming into today, price does seem to be getting a crazy move higher before I even hopped on, so I'm not really sure what this is from, to be honest. But we do have some nice session targets lower down which we could maybe move towards, and the main reason why I thought this was the case was because we do have some, supporting levels from price down here. It is a high timing support level which gives it more power, though usually it would expect price to come in and tap these levels before continuing to push higher. We do have a bit of downward intent currently, so I do want to see how price continues to form, and the setup today honestly was forming pretty quick as we did end up getting a pretty good wick into these current supporting levels to push price lower, and the direction was honestly pretty good at the spot, but I did end up hesitating, so this trade started running without me, and then I decided to enter right at the bottom over here, which was just... yeah, I don't know guys, I have no words for today's setup. The idea was right, but my execution was like so ass that I didn't even recognize it, and I entered so low that I just hesitated to enter before, and because of that I took a stupid L. And also, what happened to my Lucid account, blood? Like, I didn't even take this trade. Yeah, I saw my P&L on Wednesday, it was not this bad. Looking back, it was probably a misplaced trade on Tradeovate, since every time you bloody click on the mouse it tries to place an order. But yeah, I think that's a stupid mistake on my part. I think at this point I'll be focusing my efforts on the funded, but yeah, I'll probably get a new eval, but I'll be waiting for a paycheck before I do that. Alrighty boys, really amazing week as you can see. I struggled to take decent setups throughout the entire week, and I was mainly just too hasty from what I saw. Like Monday I entered way too early and didn't let price develop some more like substance to just help me develop an idea of where price could go. And Wednesday as well, the entry was just too fast and price didn't provide the strong fast moving candles that indicated the volume was there to back up the move. So both those times there was a problem with just me not being patient, and I've been thinking about like why that would be the case. How come my patience would be down in the gutter? Because recently I've been doing pretty okay, so, and to be honest, like it's probably from me just not making much progress at all in the past month and a bit. I've just been going up and down, which it does happen. I can't be mad about that. It's just something that happens when you do trade, and you just gotta have the patience to make it through. And I didn't really acknowledge it before, but the worry does build up over time, and if you don't pay attention to this, it could really eat away at your progress. But yeah, it's just something that I had to realign myself with a little bit, and just take things just one day at a time, focus on doing your best in the moment each day. And yeah guys, I'm just gonna, that way you don't waste energy worrying about features that may not even happen. I'm gonna wrap up the video here for this week. It's a bit of a longer one, which is pretty fire, and I am still aiming to improve the quality of my videos, so if you guys do have any suggestions, then feel free to leave them in the comments below. But yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.